Shanti Ashish Bhai, we can start.
Om Shanti. So today we are going to chant the Murli of 24th September 1992, and the title of Murli is Particular Difference Between Truth and Falsehood. It is a very beautiful Murli to chant upon, and very subtle meaning lies behind the Murli if we deeply chant the Murli, because Murli and the points that Baba gives us are sometimes, you know, cannot be interpreted literally. We have to sort of understand the deeper meanings, the bhav and bhavna hidden behind the murli and the points that Baba tells us. So the central theme of the murli is truth versus falsehood. It begins inside the mind. Normally we think that truth means telling the truth, always speaking what is right, what is correct. But what Baba is saying is something completely different. Truth means my heart depends only on Baba. And falsehood, it means that mind, it secretly starts depending on something else. Baba never says other person is false. He says dependence is false. So in this Murli, Baba has told us that Father knows that for children, there isn't anyone to remember, and children accept the Father. And for the Father too, there's no one else to remember except just the children. We always remain in the awareness that we belong to Baba and Baba belongs to us. This awareness is easy and it also makes you powerful. So it is very important to understand that people think that one Baba and no one else, and think that should I love my family or not? Because Baba says one Baba and no one else. Should I not care about the family or the people I interact with or the friends? Should I cut off with them? Should I not depend on my family or my children? But this is not what Baba is saying. Baba says we have to see everyone, we have to serve everyone, we have to love everyone, we have to live with everyone. But what happens on the subtle level is we are very psychologically dependent on people. And that is what Baba doesn't want. And that is what, Dadi's Purusharth was like that only. You pick up the Purusharth or understand the Purusharth of every Dadi, it was merely one thing, one Baba and no one else. And it doesn't mean that Dadis didn't interact with people, they didn't offer love to people. It was simply that Dadis were with everyone, but their emotional support dependency was only on Baba. For instance, we have mobile and mobile have a lot of accessories with it. Charger is there, earphone is there, and a lot of other gadgets are there which could be used along with mobile. But the main support of mobile is charging, is electricity. Likewise, we have a lot of people in our lives. We don't disconnect them with them. We stay with them. We love them. We provide them everything. We care for them. But our main support system, our psychological dependency, is only and only on Baba. So we have to love everyone. We have to serve everyone, just like Dadis. We have to respect everyone. But our emotional current, it comes from only one source, and that is Baba. And if we churn on the Murli, because we have already read the Murli, Baba uses the word support and not attachment. Why? Because attachment is an outcome. But the root problem is we take this subtle support from people, from things, and that is what Baba tells us to be aware about. So Baba says to have the awareness of my Baba means to celebrate a meeting if instead of one, there is consciousness of mine for two. What happens then? One is meeting and the other is chaos, that is Jhamela. Ek hai Mela and the other one is Jhamela. So Baba gives us no margin. There was a very beautiful Murli in which Baba said that Baba is happy upon his children based on three relationships. First is he can be happy as a father. Second is he can be happy as a teacher. And third is he can be happy as a Sadguru. And when he is happy on children, based on any one relationship, there are different attainments based on such happiness of Baba. So when Baba is happy as a Sadguru, he is most happy with children, and that is when we receive a lot of attainments from Baba. And what is the way to make Baba happy in the role of Sadguru? When we are ekvrata, which means we are completely depending on Baba and no one else. So it is very important that we have to not just read the Murli, not just understand the Murli, but do a very subtle checking of ourselves and see what all things I am dependent upon. And Baba is not necessarily talking about relations. We have just explored one stream of it. Baba is also talking about things, facilities, everything. For instance, if I am going to Madhuban for a retreat, and suppose the proper facilities are not there, if a lot of uh, people have come, a lot of souls and parties have come there, and the other program is there, and we don't get the facility as we expected. So that is also a very subtle dependency, and we have to check. And that checking is not a 2 minute or a 1 day checking. That is a constant process of because we go through different moods and circumstances every day. So this checking will not be we have to do checking especially on some occasions, but the checking should be constant. It should be always there. So we have to see ourselves just like we observe others, because in this Murli Baba has told us that we have to be checkers and makers. We have to be the checkers of the self and makers of others. And what we do is vice versa. We do the checking of others, and we are the makers of others. We defend ourselves and sort of reject others. So we have to constantly keep on checking through the different circumstances that life offers to us, that whether my dependency is on something, someone, any facility, any person. And when we do this constant checking, we have the margin of correction. And somehow, some way, we have to reach a stage where Baba becomes happy at the level of Sadguru. And that is when he offers everything to us. जैसे कहते हैं ना, खुदा मेहरबान तो गधा भी पहलवान हो जाता है. So how Baba will be Meherban on us? When we follow this Murli completely, wholeheartedly, by doing checking and shifting our dependency from people, from things to Baba. So Baba says, apart from the Father, if you accept any other soul or even any facilities of matter as your support, not even in a physical atmosphere, but Baba says that even just in your thoughts, then this godly machinery it works very fast and in an automatic way. The second that you make someone or something else your support, in that very second, the mind and the intellect have stepped away from the Father. So, when a house is made and some construction is going on and the slab work is going on. So we use those things. I don't know what do we call it, but while the slab work is going on, there is a support which is given to the slab so that new floor can be laid out. So when that support is given, so we have to understand that there is a very subtle difference in temporary support and permanent support. Sometimes in order to uplift our purusharth, uplift our spiritual efforts, in order to become more elevated, we have to take some support. And that support, yeah, right, scaffold. So we have to take some support, and that support is very temporary. But if that support becomes our foundation, because there is a difference between support and foundation. So when that support becomes our foundation, that is when problem occurs. And we always have to check the intention because there is a very subtle doubt. Baba says that we have to be independent, we don't have to depend on people, things, anything. But there is a doubt in our mind at times that if there is a question I'm not able to understand, if there is a circumstance going in my life, taking Baba says we don't have to support. So whether I should wait for Baba to give me touching, or whether I should go to some senior person or someone we trust, someone who has good understanding of knowledge, and ask them, is it that I am taking support or becoming dependent on them? So this is a very subtle question that goes on in our mind, and we are sometimes in a dilemma. So we have to always check our intention in that case. Check whether my intention is for my spiritual upliftment, or is it that the company of that person it attracts me? Because in this Murli, Baba has also talked about being attracted to the souls or the environment or the things. So we have to always have a check on our intention, whether talking to someone or being in someone's spiritual company, is it because that I want my spiritual upliftment, I want to elevate my stage, or is it on the basis of being attracted to that person's company? And if the answer is it is for my intention is for my spiritual upliftment, and we have to do a very honest checking, because sometimes we don't we check on very surface level, and we think that no, my intention is for upliftment of my purushar, but um, somewhere down the line we are attracted to that soul's company. I'll tell you a very funny example which happened with me. Once, there was a retreat in our local retreat center, and I was there with a brother. It is not about a specific brother. It happens with all of us at some level, how we check things. So what happened? we were having lunch, and a lot of other BK brothers were also there. And the brother who was with me, he observed others and their plates, and he told me that nowadays BKs also eat so much. They have taken so many chapatis, so much rice in their plate. So I agreed somewhere. I said, yeah, what you're saying is correct. But when I looked in the plate of my friend, there were a lot of chapatis and rice. So, always whenever I remember this, um, I laugh at the incidents because we always check others but don't check ourselves. We always check on the surface level but not on the deeper levels. So the idea is we have to do a very honest checking, because if we don't do the proper diagnosis, then we cannot change ourselves. And the whole idea of our spiritual effort is of making the change, because we always say that the world transformation begins with the self transformation, and self transformation begins with very honest and subtle checking. So we have to check in every circumstance whether my dependency is on, um, whether my intention to take help from someone is to make them foundation, or it is just the support for upliftment. Let's take an example of a lift. Uh, when I take lift to go to the sixth floor, my intention is to reach the sixth floor, but not to enjoy the, how the lift makes me feel. It happens now. There are children in every society or every shopping mall that they just want to, use the lift. Their intention is not to reach the sixth floor or second floor or any other floor. Likewise, we have to check whether we are using the lift, that is the support of other person, for our spiritual upliftment, or is it that I like using the lift? Is it that I like the person of the company of other person? So that is why Baba says that, and it is a very beautiful point that Baba is given, that godly machinery, it works at a very fast speed and in an automatic way, because our intellect can think only one thought at one time. At the very second, at the very moment, we can either think about the problems, the situations, or we can think about the blessings. So the moment our dependency is on person, on any person or thing or the facility, the very moment our attention will shift from Baba to that person, to the situation. And if there is an emotional dependency, because the connection with someone is very deeply and easily established when we have an emotional dependency with on that person. So we would not require to make efforts to remember that person. That person will always be there on the back of our mind, and everything other thing will constantly keep our attention shifting from the things we are doing to that person. And the very moment my attention is going to that person, it is very natural that mind cannot have two things at the same time. So my consciousness will naturally connect to that soul more and more, and whatever frequency that soul is operating in will I will connect with that frequency, and that will and I'll start drawing that person's energy, irrespective of at that moment whether he would be we don't know whether he or she is uh, in which vibration. And that is why Baba says you have to always remember me and always be connected to me, because everything else is falsehood. And that is what Baba's focus is upon in today's Murli, truth versus falsehood, which means it does not mean that naturally we have to speak truth every time, but Baba's focus is not on speaking the truth, it is about living the truth. And living the truth means where my mind is dependent upon. So we have to constantly keep on checking and shifting based on the journey, based on the realization that everything else I am focused upon apart from Baba, dependent upon apart from Baba, will take me to the lower frequencies. And that is why Baba always focuses that we have to remember Baba, which means we have to connect to his frequency and draw his energies, right? So Baba says, always remember that nowadays, according to the drama, it is the kingdom of falsehood, and that the ruling president of falsehood is whom? Is Ravan. So he has so many heads. That is the power of falsehood is so great. In the present time that we are living, Ravan is very powerful. It is the time of falsehood, right? His ministers and great ministers are also very great. His judges and lawyers are also very clever. This is why they give a variety of points for the false judgment in a very sweet manner. And that is why I was also talking about a very subtle and honest checking. Because this is the kingdom of falsehood, Ravan, and Maya. What happens is there is a very false judgment that we make, and we think that this is the right judgment. And that is why Maya is very clever in providing something false to be true, in proving something false to be true. And that is why we have to it is not that we have done the checking once and we are done for all. We have to keep coming, and that is why I talked about constant checking. It is not just a 1 day or 2 day or a week's checking. It is a constant checking we have to do, because sometimes the conclusion we came to, or the things that we have done the checking and we came to a conclusion. Sometimes that conclusion can be driven by the sweet falsehood of Maya. And that is why Baba says that since it is the kingdom of Maya, and it happens that sometimes because of the ego, sometimes because of our interpretation of things, how we see things. Because I love this one very beautiful quote which says, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. So everyone sees things. There was a very beautiful and lovely example that Jagdish Bhai had given in one of his classes, which I always love and which I always share. He said, if there's a vegetable vendor and we ask him what is 2 plus 2, he would not say 4. He will say 2 plus 2 is 4 lady fingers. Why? Because that is how he see things. He'll say, what is 4? 2 plus 2 is never 4. 2 plus 2 is 4 lady fingers. So that is how we see things, and that is where Murli is very important, because Murli is exactly how things are. It is now not how we see things, it is how things actually are. And that is why leaving the ego is very important. Baba always say na, we were in a retreat, finance retreat in Madhuban, and a sister asked a very beautiful question to Raju Bhai and asked her, uh, how do we evaluate whether the touchings we get is the touching of Maya or the touching of Baba? So he said, you have to uh, tally that you're touching with the Murlis, because sometimes that touching could be of the touching of Maya or my own thought. And if I have ego, what I will do is, and it is a very dangerous thing, every thought that would come would feel like Baba has touched me, even though it is based on my interpretation, how I see things, my circumstances, how were my experiences in life, right? So we have to verify whether, if I'm thinking that 2 plus 2 is 4 lady finger, I have to verify whether Murli says 2 plus 2 is 4, or it means 4 tomatoes, right? So we have to be very subtle and honest checkers, and that is why I was talking about ego. So it is very important to not have ego. If I have ego, then my understanding of life would be given preference over Murli. For example, once a sister asked me, she was very new into knowledge, and even I was not so evolved at that point of time. So she asked me, "Bhaiya, today I am feeling like watching a movie, going to the theater and watching the movie." And at that point in time, I had a belief that yeah, it is okay. Sometimes it is okay to have fun. If I would have used my intellect, I would have told her that yeah, you can go to the movie and have some off time, enjoy. But then I verified what Baba says in the Murli. Baba says if you're going for service, then you can go and watch the movie. Otherwise, you know, it has an impact because even Baba shares an example. Brahma Baba always shares his example that he um, went to watch a movie. Initially, he never wanted to marry in his life. He went and watched the movie. I don't exactly remember the name. And then he got married. So it has such a deep impact. The movie has such a deep impact on our thinking because it is working on 3 dimensions, or at least 2 dimensions. We are seeing the visuals and also hearing the audio. And it has a very deeper impact on the soul. So if I would have used my intellect, if my ego would have prevailed, I would have told her, yeah, even if Baba says you can go watch the movie. And that is why we have to always verify from the Murlis that whatever touchings I am having, is it matching with what Baba says? Because Baba says, and Baba sees the world how the world exactly it is, and we see the world how we based on how we are and our experiences in life. And that is why Baba here says that the Maya's judgment and lawyers are very clever. Judges and lawyers are very clever. We would sometimes, would interpret the Murli points on the basis of our benefit, right? So Baba has a very beautiful point for all of us, and he says we have to think and understand the temporary victory of falsehood versus the permanent victory of truth. Because in today's time, the falsehood would give us instant pleasure, instant gratification, instant results. And that is why it is sometimes very, it draws us towards doing wrong karmas, right? So even though the falsehood of Maya, falsehood of Ravan, it has temporary victory, but it would not last long. And we have to always, a clever person always opts for the option which a permanent option rather than the temporary option. So in today's time, you'll see a lot of increase in spirituality, spiritual persons, spiritual speakers, not just in the BKs, but overall that there's a deep inclination of spirituality towards spirituality of people. And that is why we see a lot of influencers who are trying to portray a different image of spirituality or how they see spirituality. And sometimes those interpretations are glamorous. They draw us towards them. But we have to, not being to not be influenced. And I see a lot of people, even BKs, they are so much influenced with such influencers, with their interpretation, with whatever they are telling them. They don't understand that this is a very temporary falsehood of Maya. And then those people, their understanding, it becomes, um, bigger than what Baba says, and then they leave the organization. And I really feel pity for those souls. I feel so sad for those souls because I think the most um, just give me a moment. So I think the most misfortunate souls are the ones who leave Baba, not the ones who lose their family, not the ones who lose all their wealth. It is those souls who lose Baba because Baba is the most precious thing. And that is why we have to, never fall for such souls. We have to never fall for falsehood. So I personally knew a soul who initially was a BK. Then that soul started doing spiritual services. Then gradually he had he didn't had faith in what Baba said. And then even though that soul got evolvement, got good experiences in yoga, but then ego prevailed, and that soul started, own their own understanding, sessions based on that soul's own understanding, and some novels and different things. And a lot of BK souls, left the organization uh, merely by becoming impressed by whatever that soul was sharing. And even though the knowledge, because some people have a very good sense of speaking, they are very good speakers. But when I personally met that soul, it was very difficult to adjust with that soul. It was very difficult to understand. To be, that soul's behavior was very, difficult to digest or understand, or it was not comfortable being with that soul. So sometimes, we are so attracted to the falsehood of Maya. It gives us such a glamorous look that we are distracted from the core knowledge. And that is why, even though the falsehood will have a temporary victory, we have to always, go for the permanent option. And we have to see whether the happiness we are seeking is temporary or a super sensuous joy. Because Baba says we have to, you know, never fall for the Indriya Sukh. We have to go beyond the Indriya Sukh and go for the super sensuous joy. Also, there was a very, very beautiful line which I've always loved since I've read this Murli first time. And that line is, future is the shadow of present. So it is very, very important that what we are doing in the present is so important because our present will decide our future. And this is a very, very historic time. And I feel this is a pre-Sakshatkar period going on. Just like Baba has said and Mama has said in the initial years that the tree will shake in the end also. So I think this is that time because, sometimes even whatever is happening within the organizations, there are certain souls, um, but only I would say 5, 10, 15% maximum. Uh, if we see them, we can have doubt about what is happening in the organization. So this is a time where the number of thoughts are ever increasing. Um, the world's vibration is depleting at such a rapid pace. So overall, a very great time of imbalance, the mental traumas and mental problems. So, and we are connected, our brain is connected to the every soul in the world. And that is why the impact of the lower vibration is very high at the moment. And if we sustain, if we have faith in Baba, if we have faith in our BK family, if we are observing those souls who are very beautiful jewels of Baba's Yagya, and we keep that faith, we are doing our best with the practices, and if we sustain this pre-sakshatkar period where tree will be shaken and a lot of souls will leave the organization, which we all are witnessing, then the sakshatkar period will start, and that is when a lot of bheed will come, a lot of people from everywhere will come, because कहते हैं ना चमत्कार को नमस्कार तो सभी करते हैं. So every soul will be drawn, because then sakshatkars will, the visions that people will get, they will draw them towards the organization. But if during this period we do not sustain, believe, or we are disheartened with our spiritual practices, we are entangled with overthinking, then during the time of sakshatkar we will have repentance. That is what Baba also says, that three things will happen in the end, and those three things are: first is sakshatkar, second is jai jaikar, and third is paschatap. So sakshatkar will happen, and then a lot of souls will be amazed with the with us, with the organization, and those who left the organization, or those who did not make proper spiritual efforts, who were with Baba but were not doing any spiritual practices, they will have repentance, they will have paschatap. And that is why we have to and that is why we have to not be distracted by the temporary victory of the falsehood, and be very punctual, be very sincere with our spiritual practices. So if there is any point you want to discuss or have clarity upon, or have any questions from today's Murli or churning, or you want any clarification on any point which I have shared, then you can ask. And after that, we can have 10-15 minutes meditation on based on today's Murli. So by the time I will summarize the learnings from today's Murli, one of the most important point is checking. And checking on which point? Checking on our subtle dependencies. What are the things that I am dependent upon? Is it the red light? Is it the meditation music? Is it the person's company? Is it my mobile phone? Is it my charger? Is it my inhaler? Is it my air conditioner? What are the things I am dependent upon? And I have to let go of those dependencies so that I can experience super senses joy. Just like a mobile, it has many accessories. Can be connected to a keyboard, can be connected to earphones, can be connected to my smartwatch. But the main connection that mobile draws energies from is its charger. Likewise, I have connection with each and every soul, but that connection is very inclusive. It is not exclusive. Because when the connection is exclusive, that only this person is special, that shows that we have dependency and attachment to that soul. So my love should be inclusive. Like dadis, we can always see and check. Dadis they were never allergic of relations. So sometimes we feel that Baba says we have to become Nyara. That means we don't have to, take care of the relations that Baba is given us. And that is also what Baba has talked in today's Murli, that we have to become Nyara and Pyara, right? So we have to check our subtle dependencies. And Baba is given example of Russian dolls. Sometimes on the surface level, it appears that something is there, like Baba is there, and we open, then uh, just like in Russian dolls, one we open one, then the other is there, we open the second, then the third one is there. So likewise, on the surface, on the outside, it appears that only Baba is my world, but on the deeper level, we have so many dependencies, and that is why we have to be the checkers of ourselves, and we have to do a very honest checking, and that checking has to be not a one day checking, it has to be a continuous process. So I believe that there are no questions. So let's.
Ashish Bhai, I have a
Yeah.
question here. So while you
Yeah.
were sharing the base of the Murli, there's
Mm-hmm.
something that you quoted that there could be at times your hearts and scars may show up, though you are in
Right.
Gyan. Okay?
Right.
Is there how do we look at it in the sense if we are coming across with someone who has got a very
Mm-hmm.
hard and scar and maybe difficult to manage, okay,
Correct.
to face it. Um,
Right.
is there any way for us to look at it? So one easy way is to withdraw, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and
Correct.
just go off.
Right.
But is that the only way to look at it? Because if I sometimes get into this reflection that if that's what I'm doing, then in
Mm-hmm.
that case, I'm escaping from my role. Okay. Um, isn't that a calling for me to move or elevate my vibrations
Right.
um, so that it's not about the other person, it's about what I'm
Mm-hmm.
radiating?
Yeah,
No,
it is.
the question to you is how do we look at doing this? Any experience that you would like to share or any thoughts on that?
It is a very practical and a beautiful question that each one of us, I think, we face it, and I believe that there is one person in everyone's life who is like a test paper, who on a daily basis take our test papers, and it is very important to have such souls in our lives, because I think that those kind of souls are the ones who are responsible for our uh, upliftment or our evolvement. So, there was a very beautiful scene that was shown in in some of the shastra we used to read. Um, there were deities who were working, and we all might have seen this scene. The deities are walking, and then there is a stone which comes on their way, and when that stone is comes in contact with the deity, that stone becomes a human again. So likewise, when I see someone with very deep, very tough sanskars, and those sanskars come in our way and affects us, I feel that those people are like stones because they were cursed and they became stone. Because their intellect became stone, and that that person is coming in my contact because my sparsh, my touch would make that soul again, and touch of what? Touch of my acceptance and touch of my blessings would make that stone a human again. That stone did not come to hurt me. I have to come in contact with that stone so that my blessings, my uh, feelings for that soul, good feelings for that soul, um, it makes them human again, right? And recently I was listening to a class of Jayanti Didi in which she told a very beautiful thing about Dadi, which touched me. That there was this person who always used to speak lie, and Jayanti Didi asked Dadi Janki ji, Dadi ji, I have proof that this person speaks lie every time. So what should I do? Dadi ji said, if you're seeing only the shortcoming of that soul, what is your contribution to that soul's life. So that touched me very deeply, that sometimes we see one um, shortcoming of that soul, some one negative sanskar, and we understand that sanskars are very deep. Even after making so many efforts, we cannot change ourselves. How can we expect others to change themselves? Even they have some or the other different set of deep sanskars. So when we see the every soul with their quality, even if 99% flaws are there, there will be one very beautiful, genuine quality which because of which Baba has selected that soul. And if we focus on that quality, we are contributing to that soul's upliftment. So I really loved that point, and it is very easy to harmonize with the person with whom everyone else is able to harmonize because that person has very good sanskars and qualities. But it takes a very skillful soul, a very elevated soul to be able to harmonize with the soul with whom no one else is being able to harmonize. And Baba has given me that task that your company, your blessing, your spurge, your touch of blessings will make that soul, will convert that soul from stone, will remove that soul's curses, and will convert that soul from stones to human again. So that is how I practically always look at such circumstance. But at the same time, we have to sort of ensure that, because Baba always asks us to have balance. बाबा कहते हैं कि भोला बनना है लेकिन बुद्धू नहीं बनना. So if that person is talking ill about the organization, or so that is the time we have to sort of withdraw from that soul. But if it is about the soul who is within the organization, then we have to sort of bless that soul. We have to bless everyone, but we have to not withdraw.
Yeah, that's quite a powerful way to look at things. And
Yeah.
the only place to stand or access to this is, first staying in our own self respect.
Mm.
And
Correct.
second, being in this awareness of the fact that why is that soul in my life? You know,
Mm.
not from the question of why, but what you created right now is there's a role that I need to play here. Okay?
Right.
Not from the space of attachment, but from the space of accepting that each person, each soul that I connect with is instrumental in
Correct.
elevating my journey. And in that way, they are contributing and just keep blessing
Mm.
rather than getting into the other tunnel of my
Right.
energy getting drained and I need to withdraw from it. Got that, Ashish Bhai. Thanks.
Correct. And also, it is a very good opportunity for self-checking, because when we reject others on the basis of any reason, may it be on their looks, may it be on the flaws they have, may it be on anything wrong they are doing, we are operating through Rajo Pradhan or Rajo Sanskars, because rejection is a Rajo Sanskar. And as soon as we reject other souls, we can have the checking that, yeah, I am operating through this Sanskar. So this is a good opportunity to do self-reflection.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it was a very beautiful Murli, and it gave us very deep insights and good points for self-checking. Now let's have 5 minutes meditation, and we can then close the session. Let me withdraw my attention from everything that is outside, and let me very simply focus on the awareness, focus on the soul. Focus on myself and let me feel my presence in this body. I am a very powerful and divine soul present in this body from over so many years. I am present in this body from 30, 40 years. And I have taken so many such bodies that I am a combination of consciousness and energy. And that is what makes me a soul. I am so subtle and not physical. Body is physical. I am not physical. And for some time, I live my costume and let me go up, leaving every bag and baggage that was never mine, that I assumed to be mine. And I leave this role behind as I am rising upwards. I am becoming free from every burden, every situation of the life drama. And I am moving from falsehood towards the truth, towards the one absolute truth. Crossing the clouds and the world of white light, I enter my intense and beautiful home, the place from where I came to the physical world. And there I see my true companion, the absolute truth, my Baba. And Baba's rays are welcoming me back in my home. And these beautiful waves which are coming from Baba are touching me. I feel so uplifted, energetic, and loved in my Baba's presence. I am so grateful for this beautiful soul in my life. And in this beautiful moment, I realize that I am living the complete truth, being connected to the most beautiful consciousness in the world, drawing his energies, love, care, and warmth. All the drama that was inside me is being washed off, and I am becoming powerful like him. And his love is continuously flowing towards me. Baba is filling me with everything he has. And in this very moment, I realize that God is my world. बाबा ही मेरा संसार है. And being filled with everything Baba wanted to give me, I take leave from Paramdham, and slowly and gradually I come back to this story with the sense of detachment and fulfillment. I'm back to this room, to this costume, to this forehead, but more aware, staying in the truth in this false world, unaffected, untouched, and radiating everything Baba radiates. Om Shanti, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you to Baba. Thank you, Ashish Bhai. Thank you, Divine Family. See you tomorrow at 5 a.m. Until then, have a blissful day.